Today, we've got the priority level for each state for the 2026 governors, and these ratings are going to be the same for both sides. If one side is going on offense, the other side is going to go on defense. And as I always say, there are a decent amount of unknowns. We've got a lot of time left. We'll update this over the months. We've got 4 levels of shading. We've got no priority, low, medium, and high. And some of these depend on how you want to think about it. Others are going to be borderline. So some of these, you might see 2 states grouped together, but don't freak out. So let's start with the states that I don't think are going to get a lot of attention or funding on either side. These are going to be the no priority states. First up, we've got Hawaii. No explanation needed here. Then we've got Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, then Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Maryland. Now, of course, this is not totally set in stone. It's possible in 6 months from now, there's a shakeup in one of these states, and we'll have to readjust the rating. In 2018, that was a blue wave, and South Dakota was actually competitive for governor. So something like that could happen again, even in a deep red state. In that same year, blue states of Maryland and Massachusetts re-elected their Republican governors. So governors can provide a strong opportunity for the minority political party to make some gains. We'll see if anything develops in Alabama or Rhode Island. But the last of these states that I'm going to mention is Vermont. This really all depends on Phil Scott. If he ends up not running for another term, then there is going to be some focus on the Green Mountain State. But for now, I'm going to assume Scott is locked in, and that's why there's going to be no priority here. Now let's go up a tier. We've got low priority. And for right now, these are the states that are on the back burner. But we'll see if they become more competitive over the next 6 months. First, on the West Coast, we've got Oregon and California. Both of these are blue states, but the Dems in Oregon never really seem to run up huge margins on their governor's races. Tina Kotek, not extremely popular. So if somehow the stars align, then the Republicans can maybe make a play here. Now, south of there in California, here we could be looking at a crowded Democratic primary field. And some people are bullish on the idea that this state has reached a turning point and it's going to start getting redder. Yeah, I could see that happening a little bit, but not to the point where it actually gets truly competitive just yet. Regardless of who the Dem is, there should not be much focus on this state, but it's one that I think is going to get a decent amount of attention. Republicans here would be more focused on the margins rather than winning this seat as of right now. Next, we've got Colorado and New Mexico. Both of these are going to be open seats, and I think New Mexico is a little bit more likely to get competitive than Colorado. If these do come onto the map, Dems are going to have to divert some resources and start to sweat a little bit. But for right now, I don't think they should worry too much about them. Next, we've got Nebraska and Kansas. Kansas is going to be an open seat, but because the Democrats currently hold it right now, I don't think they're going to totally abandon trying to make yet another play for it. But there's a lot of Republicans here. They've really got to get this one back in their column. So I think there is going to be some focus here either way, but we'll see what happens. Nebraska, for the most part, comes down to if Dan Osborne mounts an independent campaign and the Democrats get behind it. It's something to keep in mind, but for now, Republicans should not be worrying. Then south, we've got Texas. Probably 20 years ago, most Democrats would have predicted it, that they would have had some type of meaningful victory in this state. Hasn't happened for president, senate, any statewide office, including governor. If Greg Abbott ends up changing his mind and it's an open seat, theoretically it should get a little bit more competitive. But for right now, it's a weak bench for the Dems, and Republicans look like they're going to not need to spend a lot of time in the Lone Star State. Then we're going to go up to Minnesota. Here, there's no term limits, so Tim Walz might actually be running for a third term. If he does, or even if he doesn't, I still think Dems would be favored here, and Republicans aren't going to focus on it too much. But there is an outside chance something could happen. It's too early to say, but this one is definitely going to be on the back burner. Then we've got Illinois. Here's another state that was a lot redder than people expected in the presidential election. If it turns out it's going to be an open seat, there's going to be more attention here. But it's blue enough to where, unless Republicans get that ideal candidate, most likely there's not going to be a lot of dollars flowing into this state. But just like with any of the other red or blue states on this map, sometimes voters are looking for a change in state government. So who knows? We'll see what develops here later on. After that, we've got South Carolina. A lot of questions around different candidates, mostly on the Republican side. But either way, at this early point, until something develops, this is going to be considered a low priority for both sides. Then we've got Florida. The assumption here is it's going to be Byron Donalds for the Republicans. And just like with any other state, I think the other side, in this case the Dems, should run a serious campaign. But I think most people, myself included, have underestimated the Republicans' strength in recent elections here by at least a couple of points. So maybe something happens and they do get in the mood for some change here as well. But for right now, I think Dems are going to be demoralized here. There's going to be a minimal amount of attention on this state. Now in the Northeast, we've got Maine. Here's another open seat, but I think the Dems have a better bench here. And even though it's kind of a unique state politically, until Republicans have any momentum here, this is not going to be a high priority state for either side. And we've got New Hampshire. Kelly Ayotte just got into office, but she stands for election every 2 years. There's a good amount of Democrats here. We see that all the time in federal elections. But when it comes to state politics, they're unable to capitalize on it. So for right now, I don't think there's going to be a ton of time and focus on this state. And finally, we've got Connecticut. Back in 2018, it was a close race here for Ned Lamont. That was a blue wave in a blue state. So we'll see if he runs again or if he decided he's going to retire by the time I post this video. But it's another wait and see kind of situation. Maybe Republicans can put up a decent candidate and put this state on the map for this election. Now let's go up to the medium priority states. First, let's get Alaska out of the way. As I've said in other videos, this is a state that has a ton of range to it. Politics can be a little unusual here, but it's possible there ends up being a significant amount of tension here in the end. It'd be kind of embarrassing if the Republicans lost it, but that's not totally out of the question either. It's not a high priority, but I think there's a little bit more here than low. Next, we've got Nevada. Here, Republicans are on defense. Democrats going on offense. They want to knock out Joe Lombardo. They might try to do it with Aaron Ford, the AG. So I think regardless of what happens, there's going to be a decent amount of attention here in the Silver State. Next, we've got Iowa. Here again, Republicans on defense. Maybe the best bet for the Dems here is Rob Sand. He's the only statewide elected Democrat. But even back in 2018, that was a blue-leaning environment. Republican Kim Reynolds still won that one, even though the polling was a little bit shaky for her. I know Dems would love to pick this state up, and I think there's a possibility. But for the foreseeable future in this election, you'd much rather be the Republicans. Let's hop over to Ohio. Here it's kind of a similar story. Dems are looking to regain some power in a state that has drifted a lot harder toward the GOP. Regardless of the candidates, there's going to be a decent amount of focus here in Ohio. Now next door, we've got Pennsylvania. Now this one for me was borderline, low, medium. I think there's a good chance that Josh Shapiro just looks like he's too strong of a candidate, and Republicans end up not going all out on this race. It is a purple state, but Dems have had some solid success in recent governor's elections. So this one could fizzle out. We'll see what happens. The last one we've got here is New York. Now this one was also borderline low medium for me. Yeah, this state did get a lot redder back in 24. So maybe that continues, or maybe there's a course correction and it gets even bluer. Here there could also be a lot of focus on the primaries as well. The general election, I know Republicans are at least going to try to make a play for this. It could be fool's gold, even though Kathy Hochul is not the strongest incumbent. But even if it's not actually competitive, it's going to be all about the margins. Getting it down under 10 points, maybe even the potential for mid-single digits, that might cause the Dems to panic about fear of an upset. We kind of saw that back in 22. It was closer, but not close enough. Either way, I would expect this state to get some level of attention. Now let's go to the absolute highest priority. These are going to be the states that are likely to get national attention. Tons of spending and dark money is going to flow into these races. Prominent national figures are going to be making campaign stops, and they're likely to be competitive with polling and the actual results. First is Arizona. Dems here on defense. Republicans really want to take down Katie Hobbs. Trump put up a nice win here, but Dems hold both Senate seats as well as some other statewide offices. Hobbs is not a stellar candidate, but she did win in 22 against a controversial Republican. It's all about candidate quality in this state. Either way, I expect this state to be in the spotlight. Next, we've got Wisconsin and we've got Michigan. Both these states are kind of similar, except for Michigan is definitely going to be an open seat. Wisconsin, we're not sure yet. And what else can you say? These are some purple Rust Belt states. Both sides capable of winning here. They got all the attention in the presidential election and the Senate races. There's no question these are going to be some prominent nationalized races. Finally, the last state is Georgia. Here, another open seat. Dems really hoping to finally pick this one up. They got close in 18, and then they went back a couple of steps in 22. The suburbs around Atlanta give them a lot of hope. But on a statewide level, this state might not be ready to flip just yet. Tons of questions about the candidates. We'll see what happens. But there's no doubt that this is going to be one of the marquee governor's races next year. So that's it. That's what I've got for the current priority levels. Again, some are borderline. You can make a case either way. It all depends on how you want to look at it, who we've got for candidates, and what the local issues are. That's why these states are not as easy to predict as they might be for Senate or for president. This is where you could get a decent amount of crossover vote. We've seen it in red and blue states over the past 5 or 10 years. So there's a lot of range here. Something could easily develop. We're not even a year out from the election. We're still way before the primaries. So this is preliminary. We'll make some changes as things develop later on. So let me know in the comments, which states do you think are going to be the highest priority next year? Do you agree about the four that I highlighted here. And what do you think about states like California, Illinois, Texas, or Florida? Do you think something could be brewing here, or do you think there's no chance anybody's going to pay any attention? Let me know down below on your way out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.